So non-duality means not two. What's the closest two-ness there is? The sense of you moving from subject to object to subject. So the simple example is sometimes you're sitting here and you're being thought about and you're pictured as an object, and sometimes you're sitting here and you're thinking, seemingly, and that's putting you as the subject. Non-duality is a negation of the subject-object. Yeah, that's all it is. It's not killing it or vanquishing it or destroying it. It's just a negation. You just start losing interest in it because when it presents itself as you meet it with an understanding it's not you, basically. And then you don't have to try to point your interested attention to anything. It's going to point out to you what's going on, but the interested attention is going to move from this preoccupation called you. It's just that simple. You can't forget you. You cannot get out of you. Self cannot get out of self. If self tries to lose interest in self, that's more interest in self. This is the way it sort of works. It's a no way. There's just negating the premise that we're living from, and then suddenly, quickly, without any time or effort, seeing things anew. Yeah, A-N-E-W. If you need a reminder, there's satsangs. Yeah, if you want to feel a sense of that presence that you are, you can feel it in a satsang, hopefully. And then the constant reminder is not about what you are, it's about what you're not. Because you can describe what you're not. So the message is just this idea of negating. Negating what? What you're not. What recognize it? What you are. Yeah. You can't get to what you are because you're starting from what you're not. So we need to negate what you're not, in a sense, and then you realize that was an imaginary starting point. There's no need for a correction. It never actually was. It was just seeming to be. As long as we believed it was appearing to be true. When we hear a message that negates that or questions that, when the belief is moved, you don't believe it to be true. Yeah. And now instead of looking from what you're not, you see what you're not looking. Yeah? As simple as that. And then it just, how many corrections are needed? I don't know, 0, 1, 3. I mean, how many solutions can you have for an imaginary problem? I don't know, 12, 15, 0. It doesn't matter because when you arrive, it tells you on having never left. Have you ever had one of those moments when something just got, life seemingly as Paul got interrupted, and something hit you, and when you recovered, there was a lasting sort of taste in it, which is, it's always been this way, yeah? So that little bit of free sample doesn't provoke millions and millions of reinforcements. It just tells the truth. It's always been this way. It may sound like a whisper, but it just keeps on. It's like an unspoken yes that reverberates and reverberates and reverberates. Doesn't need any advertising or propaganda or reinforcement. What needs reinforcement is the understanding about what we're not, yeah? Because the emperor, having no clothes, has a lot of clothes it can put on, yeah? And when you recognize the emperor has no clothes, it stabilizes when it turns into an understanding. No matter how many clothes it wears, it still has no clothes, yeah? That's when it really radicalizes, yeah? If not, if you believe seeing the emperor with no clothes was a peak experience, then you may be desiring or seeking to have that event. But the free sample of seeing the emperor with no clothes is to allow a recognition that no matter how many clothes it wears, it has no clothes, yeah? You didn't catch it in an off moment where it had no clothes. It has no clothes. It may be wearing a lot and da-da-da-da, but it has no clothes. And it's a convincing, that's a present tense verb. You're constantly being convinced in this convincing, yeah? You're not reinforcing it through repetition and through denial and this and that. It just repeats itself, yeah? It's beautiful. And so once the emphasis or the, let's say, the percentage of interest moves from what you're not and now is resting in what you are, which it's always been resting, it's just been agitated in this appearance of what you're not. When it rests there, things that you had no ability seemingly to see will be easily recognized. It's just the way it goes. It's like being given a gift of sight, so to speak, yeah? And when you're giving the gift of sight, it's like that story about the poor guy, the beggar at the gate of the city, and every day he's begging money and stuff. And one guy doesn't give him anything, but says, hey, why don't you look in your pocket? Now, he's a little too prideful to do it at that point, but when he gets to his little hovel after the day of begging, he put his hand in there and there was a big chunk of gold, yeah? So basically, all the while he was begging, he had the gold that he needed or wanted, yes? Did he stop begging? He may not have, but now he's doing it in a much looser manner. Every time he starts forgetting that his financial condition is based on how much he can beg, he just puts his hand in the pocket and gets freaking reassured. Yeah? And then over time, there's less and less of that provocation of getting anxious and afraid because he's felt that gold enough that he knows it's there, yeah? Beyond knowing it like a book knowledge, but a real knowing it, yeah? A knowing it before knowing stuff, yeah? Just like we used to use the example of if you have a place to live and you go to work, do you forget you have a place to live? You're not at the place to live. You can't see it. Yeah. You can't feel it. You can't touch it. You can't verify it, but you know you have a place to live. Yeah. Now, if you have to stay overtime, would more time make you forget you have a place to live, or to bring doubt to you have a place to live? I don't think so. If your job sent you to Europe, would that make it much? Would that guarantee that you forget you have a place to live? Probably not, because the knowledge you have a place to live is not of time and space. Yeah, you know it. You know it. You're soaked in it. Yeah, this is what they talk about as the I am. There's no need to prove the I am. It's self-evident, as they say. I am. You're on. Yeah. So this is the touchstone. And when you touch this stone, it reverberates, yeah? But we can't seem to arrive there because we're starting from what we're not. And what we're not, seeing itself to be all we are, our own nature is a point of arriving, yeah? I'm going to have to do a lot, go a lot, take a lot of time to get to where I actually am, because of the fixation as what you're not. We just negate that fixation. And then even if you have the habit of thinking you have arrived, you get whispered every time you arrive on having never left. Yeah? And maybe now you go through the act, oh, the head's getting ready, it's got the candles on, it's putting the chimes, this and that. It's getting ready to meet what already is. Yeah? Let it do its little fucking show. Yeah, you know better, so to speak, yeah? Don't waste any time trying to convince it. It's no point. That which is of time believes to get somewhere, it's going to take time. But you're not going anywhere. Have you ever gone anywhere? Literally? Yeah, you went a lot of places, but there was one seeming constant, you. So in effect, have you ever gone anywhere? And if you did by getting overdosing or going into a coma, when you come back to that which you wish you hoped you had left. This is what used to flip me out all the time when I overdosed, sort of on purpose. I was so pissed when I woke up in the same movie, except with some extra uniforms in the room. I was so freaking pissed. I really wanted to get out of here. I can't get out of an imaginary place. It's impossible. I can't arrive at where I already am. I cannot become what I already am. I cannot find it. I cannot lose it, which is really good. Yeah. It has a different effect on everything else. I mean, it's just negating the false primary point and then allowing a primary point to become obvious. We don't even allow it. It just becomes obvious, yeah? All is needed is to negate this idea of you. You don't go, if you see you're not this idea of you, you don't start looking for another you. It puts it to rest, yes? You don't have to do a double take. It's not like I lose interest in that and I gain interest in that. No, you just lose interest in this and see what happens, yeah?